Okay. Is that better? Okay. Oops. So what I'll do is I'll just set the scene regarding the situation around the ecologically or biologically significant areas, which are a designation, in fact a recognition of the importance of these areas within the marine environment. Sorry. Do you have the other presentation? Thanks. So over the last few years, approaching 5 or 6 years, there's been several projects looking at the Southern Adriatic Ionian Strait EBSAs. This was part of different projects, particularly the Mediterranean Interreg program, and now part of the Euromed Interreg program. Oops. So just to give you a brief little background on EBSAs, I guess that there aren't many biologists in the room, maybe 2 of us. The EBSAs are actually a global designation, a global recognition. It's initiated under the Convention on Biological Diversity in 2008. And it looks at particularly important marine areas with regards to ecological processes or biodiversity. In total, there are 330 EBSAs listed in the global repository. But one of the major issues that we've always had is that the EBSAs are a recognition. They're not a management protocol or designation. And because it's only a recognition, this recognition means that management or governance frameworks are left to be defined by the national states that have jurisdiction in those areas, or the regional SAIS programs, or other regional institutions that may have some form of mandate in those areas. While with the global push for 30% by 2030, the Global Biodiversity Framework, there's a push to look at different methods to fulfill this 30% for the national authorities. So the EBSAs are now being looked at everywhere around the world as a potential for fulfilling some of these obligations. And this is where we lead to now. Within the Mediterranean, there are 15 EBSAs. In the original development, there were 17, but 2 were removed due to political decision-making. What is interesting that is not only recognized in the Mediterranean under the Convention for Biological Diversity, but it's also recognized by the Barcelona Convention. The Barcelona Convention is the Mediterranean Sea Regional Seas program. And this is significant because all of the member states of the region of the Barcelona, all the signatories to the Barcelona Convention, have recognized that the importance of the EBSAs themselves. The convention therefore provides a potential multilateral framework that could be used in some kind of development of protection or governance or some form. Moving down, within the Adriatic Ionian region, we have 3 that are wholly within the Adriatic and Ionian region, and then 1 partially in and 1 adjacent to. Okay, the 3 that are within is the Northern Adriatic, the Yabukapit or Pomopit, and then the one that we're talking about today is the Southern Adriatic Ionian Strait EBSA, this one here, this big footprint at the end. I won't go into the biology, but it's important because it has lots of different environments. It goes from the coast down to 1,500 meters. It has lots of different important species that can be found there, including beaked whales, including potentially also sperm whales. But it is also recognized by the GFCM as important in certain areas due to the biodiversity. And therefore there are some fishery restricted areas within that area, including the area that is deeper than 1,000 meters. More interestingly, and getting onto the core part of this theme, is looking at the jurisdictions. The jurisdictions within the EBSA are quite complex. We come from actual internal waters here in Albania. Okay, can't see. Internal waters all the way to what was previously high seas, but in the last few months is now exclusive economic zone of Italy, an exclusive economic zone of Croatia. And then we also have parts of the Greek exclusive economic zone, and also part of the internal waters of Italy going into the Gulf. So it's a complex jurisdictional area, and this is why the regional seas and the macro-regional strategy provides such an opportunity to work together, because it provides a core way to bring the parties together to have a conversation. What has been really important, what's important is that there's global recognition of the importance of these areas. The other thing that we also need to think about is these areas are not conservation areas. They're not designed to be huge protected areas. They are designed to be areas where sectors, different sectors can coexist with other sectors, but also with conservation. And they provide basically a starting point looking at maritime spatial planning, looking at how do we use these areas more effectively. So by promoting these marine spatial plans or maritime spatial plans, it provides opportunities to have open and trusting conversations with sectors as well as national states. What I would also say is that this is not the first time I presented the EBSAs at a forum, so a macro-regional strategy forum. The last one was in Sicily, which was a few years ago. I don't remember exactly when, 7 years, I think. So the difference with this presentation is that actually we're trying to move forward away from having always the same actors in the room. Previously, we've always had biologists. We've always had people involved with environment. The important thing for us was actually to bring together different sectors and try to bring this conversation away from environmentalists or biologists talking in a big circle, actually to start having open conversations with different sectors, tourism, blue growth, transportation, and try and open the door to have some kind of equitable conversation around these things. The other thing is that one of the things that we often don't think about is the power dynamics when we talk about conservation or when we talk about these kind of initiatives. There are power imbalances not only between states, there are stronger states and weaker states. And when we talk about this kind of area, you're talking about the Western Balkans or Italy, Greece, who are very strong economically. I think the macro-regional strategy allows us to have some kind of conversation in a safe space, let's say, for the smaller states to have their voice heard. And I think that we should also recognize that there are obvious power dynamics between the different sectors. So, for instance, oil and gas, if we're talking about fishery, if we're talking about sustainable tourism, there are certain sectors within the marine environment that have greater influence. And having these kind of conversations around spatial planning and conservation particularly, it's important that we recognize that these things exist. because by not recognizing them, we're just causing problems later down the line. So my final slide, sorry it took longer than I was planning, is just actually, I stole this from yesterday's presentation, and I would just like to say we now need to move away from a commitment. The commitment is an EBSA, okay? The EBSA is a recognition, actually starting to operationalize that recognition, and that can only happen with the engagement of the member states, but also the engagement with the different sectors. Thank you. Okay, I would like to ask my colleague Lubka to come up and speak about, do you have, yes. Please, yes.
Also, it's a presentation, the second presentation. Maybe it's better to see. Okay. Yes, I will put it for. Okay, good morning, everyone. Also, I would like to say welcome in Skopje, like a host country. I also have opportunity to present water basin management in North Macedonia and how actually implicate to the downstream conservation and planning measure for the EBSAs. I'm working in the Ministry of Environment and Physical Planning in the Water Department, Deputy Head of the Water Department, focus on the water management, preparation of the river basin management plan. So I will try to keep your attention and to understand how country actually managing with the water, taking consideration that we are upstream country for more of the river basin. So we can start with the ID card of the country regarding the water. Thank you. The first slide, I will change. Okay. No.
This one?
Complete.
I think we need to point at him, actually. Okay. Just this one.
This one. Okay. Yes. This is a general figure of the country related to the water resource. I will very shortly explain why I put this kind of the slide. Maybe to the end of the presentation we can recognize what is the reason. Somehow the country it's rich with the waters. The country consists of more than 35 rivers, 43 natural and artificial lakes, also big number of the source. What it's also good to explain, the water it's enough, but it's not distributed properly in the country. What it's mean in the western part of the country, it's a very rich with the waters, besides on the eastern part, and also in the period of the year, it's not equal quantity of the water in the country. The country, it's a landlocked country. What it means, we are not have a sea, but even that we not have a sea, we have a many sources. The number of the figure, what is explained in the blue box, you can find that what is the real volume of the surface water, what is produced in the country. It is more than 5.4 billion cubic meters. And how many water entering in the country? It's only 1 billion. What it means, the 6.4 billion cubic meters discharge or leaving the country and going through the 4 river basin area. This is a very good example or a big challenge for the country, how to manage it with the water, taking consideration the climate change, taking consideration the importance of the water, but also taking consideration the actually possibility and responsibility to transboundary managing with the water with another countries. I will go with all box how to explain. Also, why I put these slides? Only to give a general figure and to have into the account what is the real pressure of the water in the country and how many of the water we use and what will be the challenge in the future. Regarding of the drinking water, yes, we are in the good condition, and in the first actually map with the blue, we can find how many percentage of the people it's connected with the public utilities. It seems that it's more than 97% it's connected with safety drinking water. When we're talking about wastewater treatment and connected people with the wastewater treatment plants, for now it's almost 37, but this number it's increasing years the year, taking consideration that it's a many big projects for the construction of the treatment plants, and after the finishing of the big treatment plants in the capital of the country, Skopje, it seems that this figure will be somehow reached to 78%. Regarding of the water losses, this is a big problem and something what we must be improving in the future, taking consideration the climate change, taking consideration the actually ensuring the quantity of the waters in the river, but also taking consideration importance of the saving of the water. Another last map, actually, it's a very small, but somehow present what is the point of the treatment plants in the country. With the green, it's already constructed, and the red, it's only on ongoing activities. Where is the country regarding of the transboundary water and how we're managing? Actually, this is the map of the river basin area in the country. However, in the beginning, I explained it's a 4 river basin in the country. The biggest one is the yellow area, that is the Vardar Axios River Basin. And this river basin is almost 80% of the country. And the Vardar discharging to the Axios in the Greece, entering to the Asian Sea. The another one, big transboundary, again, area, it's a Cern Dream River Basin area, presented with the 2 natural lakes, Prespa and Ohrid, also what we are sharing with the neighboring country, and what leave the country through the Cern Dream to the Albania, and going to the Adriatic and Aegean region. And another one, it's the Strumica, in the eastern part, the Strumica River Basin, through the Struma going to Bulgaria, and after ending to the Greece in the Aegean Sea. The very small one, the red, it's the Yuzhna Morava. This is also one of the smallest river basin part in the country, what after Serbia going in the Morava, and after that in the Danube River Basin. When we see what is the real figure of the source, what it means, our country is a real example of source to the sea. The most of the water actually it's producing, or it is in the country and inflow to the another country, to the sea. What it means in the Black Sea, it is almost 0.7%. In the Adriatic Sea, it is almost 30%, and in the Asian Sea, what is presented with the Vardar and Strumica, it almost 87%. What it means, the water from the country directly reflect like upstream country to the downstream country condition. What is the national governance? The country is in the process of accession to the European Union, and normally we transpose the all European directives what is related to the integrated water management system. This is one of the big challenge. The condition or the status of transposition of the Water Framework Directive is almost fully. We are in process of the establishing of or actually producing of river basin management plans for all river basin area, and integrate water resource management principles is structured across the planning bodies. What it's been that the country already recognized the river basin units and the river basin council like a supporting tool in the process of implementation and managing of the water. the responsible body is Ministry of Environment and Physical Planning, but also coordination is going with another ministry, Ministry of Agriculture, Health, Energy, also local self-government. The one of the main players in the water management, also it's municipality and public utilities responsible in the urban water treatment. And one of the big challenge for the future, it will be establishing of transboundary commission for each of the river basin area. Now we are focusing on the CERN Dream, on the Dream Basin area, where it's already project and where this process is already started. That it's one of the biggest focus for the country in the future. Actually, from river basin to the marine ecosystem, or what will be explained from source to the sea. The country, what I already mentioned, it's upstream country. On the first two slides, I already explained what is the quantity of the water, what is producing, and what is the actually kind of activity in the country. Like upstream country, the key pressure, what influence to the downstream country, it's actually nutrient pollution, wastewater discharge, hazardous substance, and hydromorphological alternation. What the downstream impacts actually, how they influence from this kind of activity. This is the eutrophication, also the habitat degradation, biodiversity losses, and reduce of ecosystem resilience. Taking into consideration these two influence between upstream and downstream country, we take a lot of activity and measure in process of integrate river basin management, how to be ensure that the condition of the water in downstream country is in a good way. What is a policy integration? The strong coordination is needed between the Water Framework Directive and the Marine Strategy Framework Directive. Also, in the law, in our strategy, we take care about this principle, and the River Basin Management Plan should be linked with the marine conservation objectives and biodiversity strategies. What I'd like to underline here, what it's very good to mention, that the good ecological status upstream support healthy marine ecosystem downstream. This is a very crucial for this workshop, for this discussion, how to ensure that this kind of communication between the upstream and downstream country, it's necessary. What is also the regional transboundary cooperation, and what is the challenge? The three main aspects, it's very important. The first one, to have a unified data system. What it means, the data what we're sharing between the country must be very well explained and in the appropriate format. Also, the joint monitoring development, it is necessary, and it's a baseline indicator to how to ensure that the transboundary pollution of marine rivers to the coastal water, it's not the case. And also what is another very important part is harmonized measure. Is the upstream country recognize some kind of the measure, the downstream another measure, that kind of measure must be codified, must be integrated, must be unified and be approved. This is something what actually recognize, or this is the principle of integrated water management. What is the key message I would like to mention? That the river basin management and marine conservation are interconnected. Also, the island pressure affected downstream marine biodiversity. We can learn from today's discussion. Also, integrate source to sea governments is essential for the ecosystem resilience. And coordinated action across the sector and borders is critical for the protecting sensitive marine ecosystem, such as today actually presentation what Patrick already mentioned. That is what I already like to explain, what is the status of the management in our country and how we see this integrated approach. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lubka. I would now like to invite Samo to come up and move again into the river basin discussion. Please take a seat. Samo is from the International Sava River Basin Commission, based in Zagreb. Yes, correct.
Yes.
In Zagreb. Actually, take my chair and I'll move across.
Okay. We can change maybe. We can change it to see the presentation.
Yes, exactly. And I would just like to ask Samo to give some practical and applicable examples of how the Sava River Basin Commission has worked, and how we may also take this as an example for us at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity to present the activities of the Sava Commission. We are quite active in the water management and navigation for the last 20 years, because we were established in 2006. The Sava Commission was established. Well, the main legal background for the cooperation of the Sava in the Sava River Basin is the framework agreement on the Sava River Basin, with the main objective. So here are the objectives: to establish the water management, to establish the sustainable hazard management because of floods, droughts, and accidents of the pollution, dealing with the water pollution, and also to establish the international regime of navigation. We are actually the only commission, the river commission in the Europe, which combined the navigation and the water management. Because, for example, in the Danube, you have two commissions. One is the ICPDR, for the responsible for the protection of the Danube, and also the Danube Commission itself, which is responsible for the development of the navigation. The parties of the framework agreement are Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Serbia. They signed and ratified the framework agreement. Well, but the Sava Commission also coordinated the activities of the parties to the framework agreement, and also to the of the Montenegro, because with Montenegro, the Sava Commission has signed the MOU. And as an observer, also the North Macedonia has somehow the role in the process of the development within the Sava Commission, but North Macedonia is mainly focused to the navigation, not more so much to the water management. So the scope of work we are developing within these 20 years are development of the management plans, because we have developed two river basin management plan, one flood risk management plan. We are now in the process of the development of the first sediment management plan. This is actually supported by the World Bank and GEF. And we are also dealing with the climate change adaptation and contingency planning because of the water pollution. We coordinate the activities also in the development of the integrated system, in scope of the development of data and information. In this regard, we have developed the Sava geographical information system and the Sava hydrological information system. And one of our flagship project or system is also the flood forecasting and warning system. That means when the forecasting, when the flood comes, the there is one joint common platform to change the information about the forecast of the floods. Now, this system is upgraded again with the support of the World Bank and GIF. Because we will deal also that new system will be modernized for the flood forecasting, but it will be modernized also for the low flow, because low flow is very important in the ecological sense, and also because of the navigation. For the warning of the pollution at the level of the SAWA Commission, we use the system which was developed by the ICPDR. It's so-called warning emergency water pollution system. It is maintained by the ICPDR because it functions well, and I can admit that there is not so much accident pollution in our countries. So we are also focused on the development of the economic activities. Navigation was actually mentioned also in the framework agreement. So we are dealing with the development of the navigation from the early beginning of the establishment of the SAWA Commission. And but the parties I think in the second meeting of the parties, which is the highest decision-making body in the Sava River Basin, decided also the sustainable river tourism should be also in focus. Well, in this regard, we have just finalized the master plan for the development of the sustainable tourism in the Sava River Basin. Again, this was supported by the World Bank and GEF. And in this master plan, we are focused mainly to the development of the cycling tourism, of the development of the eco tourism, and development of the navigation tourism. Besides this, we are dealing also with the harmonization of the policy, especially in the field of navigation, production of guidelines, and also the countries with the cooperation. We coordinate the activities on the development of the protocols to the framework agreement. The protocols are actually legal binding documents for development of the particular issue. Until now, we have coordinated activities on development of protocol on navigation, or protocol on the management of pollution because of navigation, protocol on sediment management, and also on the protocol on the flood. So this is actually our scope of work. We have done within these 20 years, and that's well. We have the SAWA Commission. Then there is the Secretariat. The SAWA Commission is actually the implementation body of the framework agreement. The Secretariat, where I'm coming from, is the administrative body of the SAWA Commission, and we cooperate also with the countries through the meeting of the parties. I have mentioned that this is the highest decision-making body, and also through the work of our expert groups, because the experts in the expert groups are the representative of the countries. The SAWA Commission, the members of the SAWA Commission are also representatives of the countries. But in the Secretariat, we are actually the staff. So we are coming from all the SAWA countries, but we are not actually representative of the countries. We are staff. I should mention also one thing. that according to the mandate of the SAWA Commission, we have really clear mandate what we can do. In the field of navigation, the SAWA Commission can make decision. That means that they are obligatory for all parties. While in the field of water management, we can provide navigation recommendations. So we coordinate the activities on the plans, but they are not legal obligatory. But we propose this to the countries, and then the countries are actually responsible for this.
Thank you very much. I'll ask Eva, if you would, to join us. Eva is from the Ministry of Tourism and Sport, again from Croatia. Samo, would you like to take a seat next to...
Shall I sit here?
Yes, so you can see the screen.
But I don't have a PowerPoint.
You don't have anything with you? Okay, no, it's good. It's fine. Even better.
No, I have one slide.
Okay, no problem. So, our question to Eva is based on the tourism sector and listening to what Samos has been talking about and moving gently into the along the flow of the tourism sector into the coastal area and the marine area. What opportunities do you believe there are for the tourism sector to engage with nature and engage with nature-based solutions? And what advantages or disadvantages do you see long-term with this? Thank you.
Hello, good morning to everybody. I'm Eva Čaleta-Pleša from the Ministry of Tourism and Sport of Republic of Croatia. And today in the role of the coordinator of Pillar 4 Sustainable Tourism of the EU strategy for Adriatic-Ionian region. Thank you for inviting me, inviting sustainable tourism to this table. It's interesting to see how you look at the water and the river and you see like billions of cubes and the tourism sector looks a bit differently to rivers and waters and sea, but tourism sector is quite aware of the changes, of the biodiversity loss, of the climate change, and these discussions between tourism and nature, they're already long time, because both sectors are interdependent. We depend on the nature, and nature also depends on us people. When we say people, we think not only tourism, but lots of other economic activities. And the discussion and cooperation is always needed, and actually it never must, it's always ongoing, and we never should stop to doing this. We are all tourists in some point of our life. Today we are travelers, so we see changes as we are participating in different conferences, seminars, webinars, or we travel in our own private time. There are no more plastics. So these are these small details, green practices that already tourism sector and catering has introduced. And for some businesses, it's already sustainable businesses, not business as usual, but normal business, how to do it. We are aware that it should be much and more and better, but it's a process, and step by step we are going into this direction. On the other hand, the tourism sector has recognized that within sustainability practices, green practices, nature tourism, there is also a competitiveness factor that maybe they could be have advantage comparing to some other business, and maybe more clients will come there. Clients, travelers are more and more aware of the global situation, and from sustainable tourism, we today even talk about regenerative tourism, responsible tourism. These are not maybe there was in some part a buzzword, but today we really like to think that's something that is quite widely understandable. What should be, what is it, a sustainable tourism? Within the strategy of Adriatic-Ionian region, the region is really rich in nature, rich in protected areas like Natura 2000, but also quite a number of UNESCO heritage sites, nature and culture, also intangible culture. And this is all a great opportunity and platform to work together to show local people and local community what do they have and how to deal with it and how to protect it for the future. Our strategy, the Pillar 4 Sustainable Tourism, within the new revised action plan, also got the third topic, which is greening of tourism services and products. We do talk about products and services because this is something which is economy and it brings financial means, and it's vice versa. If we earn money, we can invest in nature. And this is the way maybe we should all like think and start to work, that investing in nature, it's also investing in tourism, investing in people, in local communities, and it's a basis for a future. So greening the tourism, and this is like our third topic, but the second topic is preparing for the future, knowledge, management, and skills. So you, Mr. Groschel, you talked about river management. We talked about the management of destinations, but the river is a part of destination. So we have to sit down and talk together. Skills are also needed to know how to introduce green practices and what does it mean green corridors or green route or non-plastic use in conferences. And also with the small private accommodation and small restaurants and small boutiques. There are so many little parties and stakeholders that should be informed, communicated well enough to make differences. And actually to pay them attention that maybe these differences will make them better, or maybe not better, but they will not be different, but they will be part of the global community. And so this was a little bit longer introduction to the nature-based solutions for sustainable and resilient tourism. Nature-based solution, nature actions, nature for tourism, I think this is like a common title for all the idea that we bring maybe some solutions from your field into our field. And within the region, we have a few examples that should be like duplicate, replicate, scalable, and some of the examples that I found as a good example for nature-based solution is protecting of the Vjosa River in Albania. Why those examples are good? Because people protected nature, but they see that people want to see nature. They want to come anyway, and they would probably come. People go everywhere in the world. They travel so much more today than ever. And so it is really important to protect and to present, to communicate, and to raise awareness and kind of educating people. I don't like to use this word like we won't educate any tourist or traveler. We will inform them, but we need to educate children. So we start from little ones, and then they will grow to the traveler, responsible traveler. So the wild river of Vjosa in Albania river is a nice and good example of what we would say and what we call the nature-based solution for sustainable and resilient tourism. The dunes in Nina in Croatia. Also, by this protecting, we protect beaches, the beach, we protect species in the sea, and probably with managing tourism flow with limiting the tickets to visiting national parks and nature parks. These are all steps that bring nature alive and to actually restore nature and to regenerate. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you care to?
Yes.
Yeah. Then we'll bring up Julia. Julia, would you care to come up, take the seats, the hot seats?
I don't have any slides.
Oh, you don't have any slides?
No.
Okay. Great. Excellent.
So you don't feel alone.
So Julia works for WWF as a policy manager in Italy. We were talking earlier about, more specifically about the SAIS EBSA, because Julia works in the marine policy, correct?
Yes.
Just checking. So the question that we posed was, how do we successfully make conservation measures relevant to sectoral stakeholders, first of all? And then what governance mechanisms would you propose for the SAIS EBSA itself?
So thanks everyone, and thanks for inviting WWF. And I'm very happy to represent my organization here today. And to come to your question, Peter, we think that conservation, and it has also been proved by many studies that conservation doesn't have benefits only for biodiversity itself, but also to ecosystems that are related to protected areas and thus to stakeholders that really depend on those ecosystems. For example, related to the marine ecosystem, the fishery sector and the tourism sector. They are strictly related to biodiversity and to conservation measures. And we can actually refer to marine protected areas, for example, as bank of the sea, because if they are well managed, they can have a spillover effect not only in the protected areas, but also in the surrounding of the protected areas. And the problem is that the marine protected areas, it's not sufficient to designate the marine protected areas, but you need to put in place an effective management of the areas. And for doing that, you don't need only a well-designed system of conservation measures, but you need law enforcement, adequate financing, and we are also trying to implement what we call the co-management system. A co-management system is a way to include all the stakeholders that are related to marine protected areas in designing and co-designing conservation measures. What WWF is trying to do in the Mediterranean is to set these co-management councils, not only within some maritime protected areas, but also, for example, to managing fish stock on a certain region of the sea area. So we are doing that in Croatia, we are doing that in Italy, in France, in Greece, and in Spain. And we have seen that actually there are some concrete results in terms of respect of the rules for around the maritime protected areas, but also in terms of socioeconomic effects for the fishery itself. One of the examples that we can bring is the one from the marine protected areas of Torre Guaceto, who is quite a small area in Apulia. So it's closer to the SAIS EBSA, but it's in national waters. And WWF and other organizations and the manager of the marine protected areas, we designed a council, a co-management council, where all the stakeholders, the tourism sector, academy, and small-scale fishers were involved in it. And we designed with the small-scale fishers the fishery management measures. And they really saw the effect that they asked for the extension of the marine protected areas itself. So they really saw that the fishery income within the protected areas and around the protected areas were increasing. And so they asked for the section of the area protected. And I think that this co-management approach could be also applied in some areas of the SAIS EBSA. And but of course the SAIS EBSA is a quite huge area. So we have been trying to think what could be an effective governance framework for the EBSA. And there are several international frameworks that can be used, and one of these is the one under the Barcelona Convention of the specially protected areas of Mediterranean interest. Is this the SPAMI acronyms? Yes, because I refer always to SPAMI and I forgot the, the full acronym. So it's the SPAMI area. And the SPAMI is, of course, just an initial step, but it could be a significant initial step. And it could bring all the member states, not member, but all the states that are interested in the EBSA together under an already existing framework and to decide conservation measures. This could be the beginning, because we need to states that are interested in strengthening the protection of the EBSA would need to come to an agreement, especially for those areas where the jurisdiction is not defined, but the SPAMI area would allow actually to have conservation measures even where the EEZ is not agreed on. So this is why it's a good governance framework. And of course, to make it the SPAMI framework really effective and to not have just the designation, but to have real management plans, we will need an international agreement between the states that are around the EBSA. It's something that is feasible and it's something that we can promote and is something accessible, but of course we need cooperation from the private sector and the political will from the states. And I would like to leave you with a question also for the forum, is how the EUSAIR forum can actually support this process to achieve and to reach the designation of the SPAMI area for the EBSA.
Thank
so
you.
That's it.
And it looks like we planned this almost, because now I'll ask Mitya to come up and explain exactly how the EUSAIR forum is going to. No, I am joking. How can EU Regional SEAS program and also the forum provide guidance on developing governance? Thank you. I don't think I need to introduce you. Everybody knows.
Ah, come on. Thank you very much, Peter. I'm Mitya Britzel. I'm quite, yes, a long time in this story, but also in the Barcelona Convention as a national, let's say, focal point. And we chaired the last 2 years Barcelona Convention, and we are very proud that we address these also very important issues, how to enhance first the implementation of SPAMIs and also marine protected areas by the modern tools of marine spatial planning. This is something what is in the center nowadays of the economy, and in this very, let's say, beginning of our, or my, let's say, introduction is that I would like really to say that we are connecting blue economy, pillar 1, with our activities to make them happen because blue economy, it's what? It's everything about the water resources, water and marine resources on the globe, regional, interregional, and of course national. What it's everything transboundary because water with its dynamics, no borders. And this is something what I believe it's essence of our work here is not just, let's say, protected of the EBSA or coastal marine ecosystem, but it's about the habitats, it's about good ecological status, it's about the health and surviving of the humans on the globe. Now, going down to the sectors, let's say we are here, and I would like to congratulate the organizers, the Northern Macedonia, for this panel, for the also our colleagues for facility point of the EUSAIR, and all of you. You are the most important here, really, and that's I really deeply thank you that you are here, including WWF as our partner, because we are partners for this story, because they are helping governments to open the eyes for management, appropriate management with the water and marine resources for the future of, let's say, new generation, for the I would say not nowadays we do have, and I have to refer to European Water Resilience Strategy and European Ocean Pact as a broader framework of our activities. And going down to implement those goals, we are immediately on the regional level, what it's managing unit for the to go in the direction to those objectives of the climate, water resilience, and Ocean Pact objectives. This brings us together, and this is the process of Adriatic-Ionian strategy, and even more, we are now, let's say, also asked by European Commission to demonstrate synergies among the European macro-regional strategies. In this case, Adriatic-Ionian and Danube strategy, and North Macedonia is an excellent case because it's just in the middle. And we are now trying to answer to the needs of Northern Macedonia because the river basin is, water is running on the end, on the Black Sea, on the Aegean, and Adriatic. And this is the case how we are addressing this with this merging two macro-regional strategies, in this case, Sava is one of the, from the, let's say, Danube River Basin, sub-regional part of the Danube, and international commission managing this international river basin from source to Danube. It's an excellent, I would say, and modern international body which brings together not just protection. In the center is sustainable use, not of water only, but of water resources. This is much more than water itself. And this is something we are coming then to the water bodies, surface and underground. And we know that the underground water bodies here and Northern Macedonia, karstic, are very much connected also with the Adriatic, and are also habitats, underground habitats. All this together brings us again that cooperation, it's must. And we do have modern tools as International Commission for the Sava River, which connect protection with the sustainable use, sustainable navigation, sustainable tourism, which linkage from source from Alpine till Danube in Serbia and Macedonia, and this is important. It's observer in the Sava River Basin Commission, and in this right this moment, I kindly invited you to the next meeting, which is going to be in Ljubljana in July, to continue these detailed talks, how to assist you in this, I would say, very concrete situation to assist with these modern tools of SAVA, flood early warning, going now also to the, in the development of low water flows and forest fires early warning. All these are tools which exist, and we would like to propose even to European Commission and the other, let's say, bodies to use those tools on a way which we really can assist the countries, non-EU countries in this enlargement process to make and to go, to move forward. Now I'm a little bit maybe lost, but going back to EBSAs, this is something, and you remind us very precisely that good ecological status in the river basins is, of course, essential also for coastal and marine health of ecosystems, which is, on the end, shared responsibility of all coastal states to take care and to, of course, go and demonstrate appropriate management. Now you mentioned also this very fast-changing jurisdictional dimension in Adriatic, which is completely new situation. Let's say geopolitics is working on all fields, and it's extremely important now how to find fair and balanced management and transparent with this shared ecosystem and ecosystem services and goods for, let's say, sustainable development along the shared coast. And this is our business. And what I'm extremely proud that we do have now very much balanced presentation here, how the situation is. Unfortunately, I would really like, and this is my plea and recommendations, that after discussion, I really hope that will happen, and conclusions will go to the panel of the Macedonian, let's say, conclusions of the forum, that our contribution is very concrete to show the way, how from the sectoral approaches of the different pillars, we are bringing them together. For what? To demonstrate or to enhance water resilience in the shared river basin, coast and sea. This is our, let's say, very concrete work, as you heard from SAMO, from Sava River Basin Commission, down to the Adriatic Ionian, let's say, projects, at least from the Pillar 3, working with also Pillar 4, as you know very much, for sustainable tourism, taking care about the coastal and marine resources. Not just to protect, but for sustainable use. This is, I believe, a very important message. And that's why we developed the so-called blue and green corridors. This is eco-connectivity for the planners, for the designers of our future, to use those blue and green corridors when they are planning the future of the use of river basins, coast and sea, to think about eco-connectivity, what is the basis for the good ecological status. And this is something what it's our invention and our contribution to the developers, not no-go, but to take care and to find the option how to use unsustainable existing resources, not to damage the, of course, the ecosystem, to be reproductive and to be also for the new generation the resource for survive. It's not about only water resilience, it's about security. It's about what kind of security? Water security, food security, and water and food security without those security, it's no security. It's much more important maybe than guns and bombs and everything to stay secured. Water and food. And these are ecosystems, healthy ecosystems. And this is how brings protection of the ecosystem and blue economy coming together. It's no blue economy without healthy ecosystems. And this is message from my side or our, I hope, panel to the forum and for the follow-up to Italian presidency, that they should really focus of this green transition and what we had yesterday, green procurement and so on, to blue economy with the mechanism, existing mechanisms which we do have, but please bring them together to the picture which we should have in front of us when we are planning the next phase of expenses or investments, better to say, for the measures which will bring and to enhance security and resilience and to contribute to blue economy. This is one box, but we should really think and act that this is one box interconnected, and in the pillar 3 we are trying really to demonstrate those synergies among the sectors, among the countries, shared river basins, and I will conclude with this, that I'm very proud with this panel and you together with these messages and activities, we somehow really succeed that in last 2 years bring together Danube River Basin with International Commission for Protection Danube River program, Black Sea Commission, as upstream, downstream Black Sea Commission program, and Barcelona Convention program, UNEP-MAP, to merge, first time in the history, those programs starting to merging to source to sea, to enhance water resilience and enhance the coastal and marine ecosystems, health of marine coast and marine large ecosystems. And this was very much welcomed by Jeff as first maybe idea to prepare first inter-regional GEF program, what is our common, I would say, challenge, looking to North Macedonia, what we, to bring all three inter-regional, three regional programs to one regional GEF inter-regional program, first time in the history, to contribute and to enhance the health of river basin, coastal and marine environment, and to enhance resilience. This is, I believe, in the June is the GEF MED program for the next biennium, the meeting, and I believe that the message from this, our meeting, is quite, I would say, appropriate to propose after this discussion here that we are perfectly on the way with the international institutions, with the EU processes, to merge EU processes, to merge EU macro-regional strategies, and to go as, let's say, common family in the shared river basin, together to contribute to enhance resilience on the global level with the regional response, inter-regional response. And of course, with these actions, we can really contribute to implement EBSAs on the end, or in the beginning, if we start to think that water is coming from the sea and oceans, and then rain comes to our ground and go back. And that's it from my side. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would any of the panelists like to comment further? No? No? Do we have any questions from the audience? Please.
My name is Doran Martinovski. I'm from Skopje, local guy. But somehow I've been working in the field of blue economy for more than 20 years. I was with the International Finance Corporation, financing blue economy private sector initiatives across the Mediterranean region, predominantly Montenegro. So somebody mentioned there is no solution without private sector solution. Somebody mentioned that, I don't know who. Private sector solutions require financing, blue finance. So my question, and I forgot to mention, I'm part of the Barcelona Manifesto expert group, which is working towards the new strategy that should be prepared till the end of the year. My question is to what extent the blue finance instruments have been built into the overall strategy for addressing sustainability related to water resources, number one. And number two, and this is a question for my colleague from Macedonia. I came across a study of the German insurance company Allianz, and I was shocked to see Macedonia on the top of the list as one of the most water risk exposed countries in the world. That's related to droughts, to floods, to pollution, and so on. And Macedonia is in the group of 3 to 4 countries, I believe, from Europe, which is in the top 40. It's Greece, it's Spain, and so on. To what extent these considerations have been integrated into the country strategy for addressing water challenges? Thank you.
Would you like to answer that second question first, and then we come back to the finance question?
Normally, you mentioned already the Mediterranean country. The country was suffering from the actually the climate change. It seems that not only Macedonia, but you mentioned the Greece, the Spain. Yes, the country in process of the implementation of the European acquis, the whole process of the integration of the whole river basin. Beside the river basin, it's also the flood risk management plans. The country, for the first time, to the end of 2027, will be adopt that kind of the managing plan. The climate change strategy, it already exists. It is a many projects and activity, not only on through the project, but the country working in the sharing of the data. What I mentioned, this is a crucial. Even that we're talking about that, yes, the political decision we can making if we have a real data and real information. It seems that many of the data, many of the information, it's not appropriate, it's not adequate to create some political decision. We are working step by step. What it seems that we're working also on somebody mentioned that it's normally to exist the legal format, legal framework for some kind of the communication. What I mentioned, it's a big challenge. First of all, to finish with that kind of the memorandum with the neighboring country. I would like to be very honest, to explain that the country still use the oldest memorandum of the cooperation in the format of the Yugoslavia. What it means, it is upgrading of this memorandum of understanding with the neighboring country. It's something what is essential. Also establish a commission for the integrated river basin. It's appropriate tool. And after that, starting the old another points, what it means, sharing of the data, improving of the monitoring, and adopting of integrated river and flood risk management plan, how to ensure that this kind of information will be sharing and the measure will be accordingly adopted and will be actually informed through the whole riparian country. We are working, what I not explained on the very beginning, I say the ministry is only one responsible institution. Also, I would like here to underline that it's importance of upgrading of this sector in the country. We are in the format of the water department in the frame of the ministry. What it's not enough functional entity to managing the all waters on the central with the 3 units of the river basin units to organize everything. Hoping that the also political will, it is a very important, this is the first one, to understand, we see the many improvements it's going in the energy sector. Water sector, it seems the country, it's not going very, very fast. But we hope that the political will be the most important in this process, how to ensure that institutionally we are in the proper format, start with international governmental bodies and also establishing and adopting of the planning act, what is very important. Sorry, but that is the reality. Thank you.
Sorry, can I respond to the financial question?
Please.
Okay. Says the man who's been an environmental biologist all of his life. So, there are several things I would say to you. Is how do we value nature? You know, we don't value fresh water. You know, we don't invest in fresh water. We invest in other things which are considered to be of more importance to the economy. And yet, fresh water, talking from a marine perspective, but fresh water is crucial for life, crucial for the blue economy. But how do we value that water? We take a cubic meter and we talk about what's the value of a cubic meter. Actually, it should be more holistic. It should be, what does water give us? It gives us everything. So one of the fundamental problems that we have with funding resilience, and I'm going to talk about not just water resilience, but I would talk about resilience as something that assists in climate change. Climate change is happening in this region. We all know it. There's not much we can do about it. It's coming. What we can do is improve the resilience of the environment that we have. So people ask me, why would a small protected area actually do anything? How does it do anything? Actually, what it does is it buys the species and habitats time. Because when you have stresses, you have climate change which is happening. It's going to happen. It's going to go to 2.5, maybe even 3 degrees. We all know this in the field that we're in. But we also have pollution and we also have biodiversity loss. So what can we do when we consider biodiversity? Biodiversity is an essential part of the processes that provide everything in nature. We protect or we reduce the other stresses that are on these species and habitats. And in that way, we buy those species and habitats time to adapt to climate change. When we talk about, so coming back from that and talking about maybe also financing nature and financing projects and financing ideas, there's been a lot of work done by the Stockholm Resilience Centre. And they have an interesting way, and TNC, the Nature Conservancy in the US, also has an interesting way, is that they don't engage with the Ministry of the Environment. These organizations, they don't go to the Ministry of Environment because, yeah, we expect the Ministry of Environment are going to support us, you know. So actually what they do is they go to the Ministry of the Economy first. And they go to the Ministry of the Economy and they say, you know, what can we do? How can we have this conversation with you? Because they know that if the Ministry of the Economy turns around and says, yeah, we're supporting these ideas, these projects, that everybody else is going to fall in line. Yeah? And the Stockholm Resilience Centre does an even more interesting thing, is that they looked at choke points with regards to fisheries was one, and they recognized that actually 10 companies globally control 90% of the fishery. So what they did is instead of, you know, going to national bodies, ministries that may change every 4 years, they went to the CEOs. Successful CEOs will stay in place for 20 years. Successful CEOs have the mobile number of the Prime Minister, the President, but also the opposition party. So if politics changes, the CEO just segues to a different group. So what we should also be looking at, and I'm glad that you raised this, is actually how do we engage with industry more and make those conversations relevant and make them recognize, actually, we're not the enemy. Actually, we are the guys trying to find a way that helps us, but also helps the blue economy. That's my preach, anyway. Samuel?
Well, I would like to give you only one example where the private sector could be very included in the sustainable management. We have mentioned sustainable tourism. Within this master plan for the sustainable tourism in the Sava River Basin, there is one pillar. It's only the example. There is one pillar developed on the cycling tourism, from the source to in the Sava River to Belgrade. That means 1,000 kilometers long cycling way. This is very good opportunity for the private sector, because the cyclists should overnight, should eat, should drink, they would like to see the nature, intact nature, but sometimes they would need also the services to repair the cycling. So this is very good opportunity how to introduce the local private partner into the development of this. So and in the next stage, the master plan is a basis for the investment plan, which is produced by the now developed by the World Bank, and how to invest the money in the local community development.
Just to contribute, this is World Bank recognized that the approach, which is respect the ecosystem services and goods with these blue and green corridors, in this case Sava River Basin, is way to go for support the development on the Western Balkan. This is the development program of the World Bank for Western Bank first phase, Sava-Drina corridors. And this is something, eco corridors, if we would like to be more precise. But it's about ecosystem services and goods, what it's connected or water. It's water behind those. These are, let's say, waterways, streams, rivers, lakes. How to take care about their ecosystem, good ecological status, to produce first for the water supply and food production and sustainable waterway transport for tourism, and further to bring people together. Now, you said political commitment. You remember why the most efficient now International River Basin Commission in Europe, it's Sava River Basin Commission. Not to exaggerate, there are clear, let's say, indicators. One of these is the only commission which produced the tool for the adaptation to climate change. First step, it's international early warning system for floods, is the Sava River Basin Commission in Europe. It's no Rhine Commission, for example. Can you imagine? And in the Balkan region, among the countries which were in conflict, and this is, it was political will. It was definitely not easy, and it was different time that the international community pushed to go in this direction. And now it's, thanks God, such an, let's say, with such products we all really enjoyed, because Montenegro, Serbia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, they do have the support in the preparing and adopting river basin planning and flood risk management planning and early warning to European process and upstream countries and all this assistance. And we hope Macedonia will be next in this. And all this, it's, I believe, very concrete process. It's not political process anymore, it's technical for the measures which are transboundary significant to enhance resilience. And this is, I would say, something what brings hope that we are capable to fight with these stupid whatever games for the people to survive in their local environment because just with this establishment and operating the Sava flood early warning system, it's 4 times faster the information what's happening in the atmosphere and how it's coming runoff down, and there are no more damages as they were 10 years ago due to high water situation and so on and so on. This all brings us that it's possible, but for that you need technical, let's say, staff, cooperation, and this is thanks to this SAVA Commission, let's say, expert groups reality now. And we believe that this is way to go. And with this, I would like just to complete that we should reactivate Commission for the Adriatic, which was also and stopped because the political games, and now it's high time to reactivate the Commission for the Protection of the Adriatic Sea and Coast, just for the same reason as it is on the continental side, on the Sava River Basin, to bring the, let's say, care for the active care for, let's say, measures which will enhance water resilience and to contribute to the health of coastal and marine ecosystems, shared ecosystems. Thank you.
You would like to respond, yeah?
Maybe somebody else wants, but just a quick response. I mean, back to your point about how do we
I think this is core to the discussion. I think we're all very happy just to kind of bury our heads, particularly in environmentalists, and say, yes, we'll save this, we'll do this, we'll do that, and yet there are no means to do it. And I think this is a rough, really tough discussion to have, and sometimes when we often talk about triage, you talk about triage from a medical perspective, but we're also starting to talk about triage from a species and habitats perspective. You know, do we try and save everything, or do we start to prioritize? And actually prioritizing spending within conservation, as I'm sure Julia will agree, is a day-to-day thing. You know, sometimes you decide you have to do this, or you're going to do something else. I don't know. Maybe Julia or Eva, you want to have something to say about the finance, or just to close it up.
Yeah, just to close, maybe quickly, I was thinking about freshwater, and for example, one space that some private investor could actually fill in is a nature-based solution. So there's also WWF has some project, for example, to make free flowing river and to improve the space that the river has to prevent floods, for example, and some of the projects are actually financed by private sector. So it's a partnership that can be done. And in relation to blue carbon credits, I think it's a hot topic also for WWF, and we are exploring these venues also with the European Commission, because the European Commission is looking even more and more in how to set a system of biodiversity credits. But I won't get into the details because it will take another probably half an hour. Yeah, it's something that we are looking into it, but it's at the moment it's very complicated, especially from a scientific point of view. I think it's extremely complicated. But yeah, the future.
Well, I would also just like to mention and to share the information that private sector in tourism is important, and actually mostly it's the private sector who runs the tourism sector. It is always discussion a bit with the governments. You need regulation, but sometimes private sector is beyond, and it's first, and it's the private sector who introduce innovation in tourism, and then the government adopts the law. And there are several, and probably there will be much more good examples where private sectors invest in nature tourism and in nature protection to emphasize the difference, but also to be competitive at the market. European Commission is now working on the new strategy, EU strategy for sustainable tourism, and from 2022, when the transition pathway for tourism was adopted, there are like three main pillars: green transition, digital transition, and resilience. And there are experts working on those three pillars, and there are monthly, every 3 months, interesting webinars, practice to share. And just the last webinar from the green subgroup was examples from private sector, from big tour operators, big hotels, how do the examples of their investments in sustainability and green practices, and how this is a competitive factor, and how they earn money on it. So it's you always have to think about return of investments when you are in private sector, but it's something that is with a common goal for a healthy planet and people. So thank you.
Shortly, please.
Very shortly, because it's about a concrete example would be this hotel. About 15 years ago, I mean, this was one project, we financed the transformation from Grand Hotel to Holiday. And I remember the discussion with the owner. You know, he said, "Why are you forcing me to invest in a small-scale wastewater treatment plant because I'm discharging clean water into a dirty water of Varda?" He said, "Because these are the rules of the game." my point is, I think it's important to involve international financial institutions because they bring rules which go beyond compliance, beyond national rules. And this is important if you want to reach, I would say, the targets, to play according to the international standards. Because local standards would I mean, again, this is where the politics, kicks in. They won't actually do something before knowing that they could actually deliver on this regulation. And I think maybe one of the messages of this forum should be knowledge sharing, but also, education about the importance of blue finance.
Thank you, everybody. We made some. Mediterranean. If we're absolutely ambitious, there are 330 EBSAs in the world. Why not be the first? Talking about power dynamics, talking about dialogue, talking about making sure that each of the partners, be they national states or they be sectors, they all have fair and equal opportunity to have dialogue and to make sure that within the spatial planning concept that may come forward, that it's a tool that fulfills their needs. And I think finally the last main takeaway is that trust is essential, and only by having open dialogue can that really happen, particularly when you talk about different sectors that are diametrically opposed at the moment, but should actually be working together. I think that's it. I'd just like to thank the panel and and everybody. Thank you for coming, and we're around if anybody would like to talk. Thank you.